The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set. Hey, we are live. Shannon Sharp's style.
No.
Hey, all the business out there. Shannon Sharp. Hey. Was it just me? Or was I waiting on him to say, skill? Skill. Oh man, we are live. We back in this thing. Oh man, great to be back. It's your boy Pooh Bear. I got my man Aunt Petty Murphy in the building. What's good with you, my boy?
Man, what's up with it, bro?
Not much, man. Before we get started, man, I know this ain't sports related, but rest in power to Frankie Beverly, man. He was pivotal at a lot of cookouts. I had to call my mama because I already knew how she was taking it. I hadn't even talked to my dad to see how he, but a lot of older, especially black parents, that hit hard. So, rest in peace to Frankie Beverly. He did get to go out, do his farewell tour. And rest in power to him. But man, we got a good show tonight. Got some things we got to talk about. Shannon Sharp ain't won, but that is funny. That I wasn't expecting. I saw it came across my timeline and it said Unc tripping. I was like, what? So I ain't paying attention until I started seeing it just like over and over different stuff. And I saw it. I was like, oh man.
Somebody said he sounded like Doc Rivers on the Stairmaster.
Somebody said he sounded like Batman trying to breathe under the mask. Bro, they already found somebody who they think who it is. And then a lady was like, it only took me 5 minutes. So
It only took Shannon too.
So, hey, I will never forget when he told Ocho Cinco, you ever put a hot dog in the microwave for 2 minutes? What happened? He said, what happened? He said, that thing bust, don't it? He said, oh man. Today is September 11th too, man. 9/11. It's been emotions been all over this place today. People been talking about where they were 23 years ago. I remember where I was. I'm gonna have to start locking doors, man. I remember where I was 23 years ago. I was at the house, man. I was I had took out of school, you know what I'm saying? Took a mental health day out of school. So to watch Jenny Jones, and when Jenny Jones went on,
Yeah, I was in class. They stopped class and brought TVs in classroom and all that.
yeah. So oh man, man, what a historic time, man. It could forever change the world. Change how we travel, completely changed how we travel. So I remember how it used to be like to actually fly before, you know, this stuff happened, before that happened. So but man, we're gonna have Carter the Power Bryant will be joining us a little bit later. But we got some stuff to talk about, man. We got to get into some of these some of this stuff, man. I went you weren't here on Sunday to talk about some of this wild stuff that went on, man, over the weekend, some of these losses. So
Yeah, it was crazy last weekend, man.
yeah, hold on real quick. Make sure he got make sure our man Carter got the links so we can see. But here we go, man. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's give a shout out to our sponsors over at BetOnline. BetOnline.ag. We'll be back in 1 minute.
BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your sports information, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds, lines, and player injury reports for this year's NBA and NHL playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters. This season, we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. We have everything from NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL to golf, tennis, UFC, and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games that you can play right from your home. Head on over to betonline.ag today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use the promo code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Hey, we are back. Carla said Oklahoma is so sorry to struggling against lowly Houston. Let's first of all, let's Houston not lowly. I'm just want to say that. But nah, it was I was shocked. I talked about it last night on Carter show, man. I wasn't expecting that, especially seeing what they look like against Barry Odom and UNLV week 1 and how they came out week 2. The defense got better. The offense looked a whole lot better. I just don't know what was going on with Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma offense didn't look too hot at all, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the offensive coordinator or it's the quarterback, combination of the two, but it definitely ain't looking good right now in Norman.
No, it ain't. Stop. I got a question for you, man. Been thinking about. I've been seeing all the comments, the chatter, the frustration. Is Marcus Freeman on borrowed time?
I think his seat's starting to get a little warm for sure. When you look at it, that's his 4th loss at home to an unranked team. That's I mean, I don't remember the numbers, but I think he lost 9 games so far since he's been in Notre Dame or something like that. And when you compare his record to what BK was his last couple of years there, it's not good. So when you look at Notre Dame and what they think of themselves to be, you know, I don't know if they really gonna be too happy with that type of results. I mean, you look at the rest of their schedule; they got to play USC, which I don't know the way Notre Dame looked last weekend. I think I might give USC the advantage right now in that matchup. So if they lose 2-3 games this year and don't make the playoffs, he definitely gonna be on the hot seat.
Man, I and what's good, Mr. Conway? He says he was on borrowed time when he got hired. Paul Sub said Notre Dame is guaranteed to lose at least 2 more games.
I just wonder if Notre Dame regrets rushing and making this Marcus Freeman hire, because they did it to try to keep their recruiting class in place, but I don't know if they got the best possible candidate for a coach at the time.
I know they didn't. I know they didn't.
I know he was a hot name at the time as a DC, but going from being a hot name as defensive coordinator to the head coach of Notre Dame is a big jump for a first-time head coach. So I just wonder if they regret rushing and making that hire instead of going through the process and actually finding the best candidate for the job.
So when he was hired, I said, you know, and I think we all pretty much agree, oh, this is a rush hire. I don't think it'll work out. I was surprised to success, although they lost to some of those, you know, who they lose to the first year, Stanford and Marshall. Although they lost to them, I thought he was kind of successful in year one. But now to see what they're looking like now, I just can't blame BK anymore. So,
yeah, and then it's funny though, because the way their offense has looked these first couple games, you kind of got to look at Mike Denbrock if we want to keep it 100. You know what I mean?
I thought Mike Denbrock was it, because you know, against, you know, they Notre Dame fans said, you know, because trying to be funny, maybe it's not, maybe it wasn't a talent, maybe it was Mike Denbrock after game 1.
I'd say this: if Mike Denbrock is it, then last Saturday versus Northern Illinois, he was it with in front of it.
There you go. But man, we got our special guest in the building. No further ado, got to bring in the man himself, the Carter, the Power, Bryant. Welcome back. What's good, on? Carter?
What's happening, brother?
Nothing much, man. I almost got caught Shannon Sharp on IG Live a minute ago. But no. So I actually lost track of time. So I normally do a live stream on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. And instead I decided to do a deep dive on the LSU offense. And it was interesting that you were talking about Mike Denbrock. So this is what I found out. So I literally, after last night, so for those that don't know, you two made an epic, and I mean epic, appearance on my channel last night. I really appreciate it.
Oh,
and we
you.
Chatted everything. We chatted WNBA. We chatted like everything under the sun. It was awesome because you guys could talk so many different topics. But after that, I was like, you know, I'm going to dive deep. I'm going to see what the issue is with the LSU run game. And it was actually something that kind of dates back to Mike Denbrock, which is LSU has one of the lowest play action rates in all of college football over the past couple of years. So I dove a little bit deeper on play action rate, and this is what's crazy. And I actually found this on a Notre Dame analytic account since 2014. Every single season. Oh, well, what is that? What is that?
Yeah, that clicking.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, that's Dylan. He's messing with my desk.
Oh, okay. No, play action passes average 2 more yards per pass attempt every season over the past decade. Okay, every single year. It's gone from either 1 to 1.5 to 2. And last year was actually the biggest gap between play action and non-play action. But you see, LSU's offense was good last year without play action. So why was it good without play action? Well, it's because they had a mutant at quarterback, right? Everything Jayden Daniels related does not compute to modern offense, right?
Right.
So what's interesting is LSU has had their weird struggles on offense, but what's still been good? Well, Kyron Lacey and Garrett Nussmeier, people we knew going into the season were going to be pretty good, right? Well, you look at Notre Dame. So you're talking about Notre Dame's offense a minute ago, and it's interesting. They do no play action. Notre Dame is by far the lowest play action offense in all of college football, and that's a continuation from Mike Denbrock at LSU. And then you take a look at our offense. We're bottom 10 as well in play action rate. And play action normally leads to larger numbers in yards per pass attempt. And something else that's very interesting, I went and actually looked at the sequences of LSU's runs, and most of their runs, their best runs have come after play action passing attempts. So, we tend to think of play action passes as, well, you need the run game for the play action to be effective. Well, there's actually been a ton of studies on that shows your play action fakes are still good without the run game. But one thing I've always wondered is, how much does play action passing help out your run game? And now I've not been able to do a deeper dive. People that are smarter than me have not been able to do like a large scale dive. You would have to extrapolate a lot of data. But what I saw was John Emery's best run, that 60-yarder versus USC, came after a play action pass attempt. Josh Williams' best run of the season came after a play action pass attempt. Some of Caleb's better runs have actually, dating back to last year, come after pass attempts. You take a look at the 3 best runs in the game versus Wisconsin. They only had 3 double-digit runs from their running backs. All 3 of those runs came after pass attempts, 2 of which were on play action pass attempts. So, for me, the biggest cheat code for every offense is play action passing, even if you do not have a good run game. Now, that doesn't mean you could just run play action on every play and it works. Okay, there are bad offenses that have high play action rates. The point is, though, it's a cheat code. Now, here's what's interesting about that is Joe Sloan and Mike Denbrock do a lot of other modern things, right? They're amongst the nation's leaders every year in pre-snap motion rate. That's really good. You want to have a lot of pre-snap motion in the modern game. But with Garrett Nussmeier in particular, I think the play action game needs to increase for the LSU offense to open up. So that's what I've been doing all day. How are you guys doing?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I've been doing a little college football on PlayStation. I'm in year 4 with the Houston Dynasty, and
Let's go.
yeah.
Has Jayshon Ridgel won the Heisman or the Biletnikoff yet?
No, he has not. But I think he's well on his way this year because I've actually gotten to the point where if I throw a deep ball and it's a jump ball, he's coming down with it.
Let's go 1-6. Let's go.
So I'm looking forward to that.
First round draft material.
Yeah, I hope my pockets do at least. But man, Carter, we've been kind of looking back and forth, last week, this week. I've noticed a trend, and we kind of talked about it in spaces. A lot of unranked teams playing ranked teams, and there being a huge struggle. I don't know if I know you do deep dives and stuff. I know. I don't know if you've looked into it or if you got a theory behind it or anything like that.
Yeah, I think it's 2 things working at once. The portal just makes everybody good now. I mean, it's unless you're just a terrible coach, it's really hard to just have a bad Power 5 roster now because there's so many Group of 5 kids that are hungry to get up to that next tier, right? You see, a school I cover that's on the lower rung is Arkansas pretty closely, and they would be an absolutely ass program, like just ass altogether, if the portal just did not exist, right? So it really has raised the floor for a lot of teams, even teams like Northern Illinois, right? If you actually watch that game, it didn't look like they were just completely out athlete from start to finish, right? So it's just made a lot of these bottom tier teams really good. And the inverse of that is also true. portal guys going to new Power 4 and Power 5 schools, that you don't have that same chemistry, right? So let's take a good example here. A guy that's been better on rewatch than his actual numbers is CJ Daniels, right? For LSU. I think CJ's been phenomenal. He's got other people open. He's not pouted, even though he's gotten open and Garrett's missed him. He is still working his ass off as a blocker. Well, Garrett's just not going to have the same chemistry as he's going to have with Kyron and Aaron and those guys, and that's why they've had better statistical years up to this point. So you see that quite often throughout college football, and it takes a little while to get that gelling going.
Yeah, and I also think that there's just more overall parity in the sport, whether it's because of the transfer portal or even due to NIL in some situations, where some schools, like maybe a Missouri or a Nebraska, is able to pull in kids that they might not have been able to pull in the past, and that kind of balances the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you, and it's going to be interesting to see how Missouri plays out here. They get Boston College, and then after that,
Interesting.
They'll then play another game and then get the very convenient bye week. So I'm very excited to see how this unfolds. And I just think this is going to be one of the more interesting SECs in a while, right? I like the fact that Texas looks dominant and can be that other truly dominant force outside of Georgia up to in this year. So I'm really freaking excited with the portal. Now, I hate it for our group of 5 schools that are out there, but it is what it is at this point. So we'll see if the powers that be continue to be powerful.
Yeah. Speaking of that, if Missouri gets through this week with the win over Boston College, we can be looking at a game day going to Como as Missouri at 3-0 takes on a 3-0 Vanderbilt. Let that sink in for a second.
Like we talked about last night, that would be a second consecutive week where game day made a puzzling decision. And then I don't think that they would do that, honestly, because the SEC tinfoilers out there would be like, you're just sucking up to the SEC schools. And I'll also tell you this, I think part of why Feinbaum's kind of pissed that game days going to like LSU SC is that because that's normally where like the SEC now crew would be going. They're normally going to like that weird SEC matchup. So it is interesting. I don't know. I don't even know. Would that even be the best SEC matchup? I mean, would they go?
That would probably be the best SEC matchup.
No, it wouldn't, because once again,
you
got Oklahoma, Tennessee that week too.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. I forgot about that.
And if they're undefeated, game days
going back to Oklahoma.
Yes, like that's where game day is going to go.
I think this weekend game day was expecting Kentucky to beat South Carolina, and they were going to be in Kentucky for Georgia, Kentucky. But Kentucky got the doors blown off of them, so they threw a wrench in their plans. But
I'm excited. I'll tell you this: the game that like we mentioned last night, the game that I've circled on the calendar is Tennessee, Oklahoma. I think that's one of the top 3 most important SEC games of the season. And then LSU Ole Miss is probably in that same realm of teams that are going to be on that 4 or 5 tier in the SEC with the playoff, right? We're expecting 4 SEC teams to get in. And normally the battle, I think moving forward in this 12-team playoff, those middle tier battles, not quite middle tier, but you know what I'm saying, the upper tier, the middle tier and the upper tier going against each other. It should be very, very, very interesting.
I think that Tennessee Oklahoma game was very interesting before the season began. But after what I've seen from Oklahoma early in the season, I don't know how much of a fight they're going to give Tennessee.
You know what's funny? Oklahoma fans got mad at me for being too optimistic when I've done their film studies, right? And Oklahoma was a team that I wasn't really like on fire about going into the season, but Last week they were without some key offensive linemen, their two best deep threats. So I think they're going to be slightly better, but it shows you some of the issues you have with the defensive head coach, right? It's so hard to keep replacing your best offensive coordinators year after year. And unless you're Kirby and you just have far better players, you're going to run into issues. And you now see what that offense looks like without Jeff Levy. So we'll see if Seth Latrobe gets better for OU. And what's up, Tyler Townsend in the chat? TT's my guy, man. He's the one. Well, I'm not wearing the hat that he made for me. This is actually my old one. But my new PHL hat, the one that I wear in public all the time, Tyler made it for me. I appreciate it.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah. Carter, so we kind of talked about it a little bit last night. The matchup that a lot of people actually want to hear about, LSU South Carolina.
Yeah.
I guess some of the questions I have, or the first question I have, how dangerous is this game for LSU?
Yeah, I think LSU's going to win by double digits. I do. I think this will be the best game LSU's played all season. I think this is one of those situations in college football history where the better team with better talent hasn't looked the absolute best. And we're just trying to talk ourselves into a lower tier team being better than they actually are. Okay. And if you really pay attention, LSU has not played their best football yet. Do we actually envision a game going better for South Carolina than it did last week for Kentucky? And you're making this point to me recently. Okay. Everything went their way in that game, right? Interceptions thrown right in their way, dropped INTs the other way. Bad coverage bust where guys are just walking into the end zone. I mean, it was a typical Mark Stoops crappy coach job. So honestly, South Carolina just hit the nuts. Now, do South Carolina have some better players than LSU? Yeah, I don't know if LSU's got a player with higher NFL upside than Dylan Stewart, their elite pass rusher who's been very freaking good, right? And LSU's got some really high upside NFL players, but Dylan Stewart looks like, he's the next Clowney. Obviously, he's a different type of player, but still an elite edge rusher. They've got some other good pieces on defensively, which South Carolina year in and year out, they've always had one or two like superstar defensive players. I mean, it's just every year. But young quarterback, rough offensive line, a play caller who nobody would consider to be in the top 5 and now Longins. I just don't see this through here for South Carolina. I understand that this game is their Super Bowl, and this game is a bigger game on the schedule than it is for LSU. And I've heard that point made a few times, but the opposite's actually true. LSU's got to win this game if they're going to stay in playoff contention. And I understand that there's some concerns going from the West Coast to Baton Rouge. Now you're going all the way to the East Coast. You got to get your ass up early and play an 11 a.m. game, which has given us mixed results over the years for LSU under Brian Kelly. But they'll stop at a car dealership, stretch it out like they did versus Mississippi State, and really play their absolute best football. I just think LSU's got more talent, and I think LSU will win this game. It could be ugly, a 28-17 kind of game, but I think LSU comes out on top.
What are you concerned about whenever it comes to South Carolina, if anything?
Yeah,
that could pose a danger for LSU.
Yeah, so their biggest strength is their defensive line. It's not just Dylan Stewart. I mean, up front, they're just really, really solid. We've seen the tackles for loss and a lot of that. But part of that is due to them playing really crappy offenses. I think you can make a strong case that Kentucky's offense, not in terms of talent, but just in terms of Stoops, is the worst offense in the SEC. And Kentucky had a good defensive line, and it's not like they just played bad. They just couldn't get anything going offensively, and they wore down. LSU's defensive line, they were really banged up. Obviously, I'd feel better with Guillory in the middle. I think everyone would. But South Carolina's offensive line is not good. It's just not. Their play calling isn't that great either. So, yes, this will come off clipped, and I've made this point a gazillion times. I have been overly confident with LSU in this spot. South Carolina's media team is very good at finding LSU fans on these sites saying that that LSU is going to win it. So I'm going to be on some kind of South Carolina football clip if the Gamecocks do win. But I just keep coming back to LSU just having enough, right? South Carolina's receivers are really good, but not so good to where I don't think the DBs can match up, right? Brian Kelly's going to get Whit Weeks more on the field this week, as he said with the teleconference a little bit earlier, and this game sets up nicely for Whit. So I think LSU defensively is going to be able to hold up, and they'll find a way to win by double digits. So let's see it happen.
Yeah. We mentioned the South Carolina's defensive line against, I guess, LSU's offensive line. What are some other position matchups that you think will be kind of pivotal in this game?
Yeah, so South Carolina traditionally has had good secondaries, and they were able to clamp down on Kentucky's wide receivers that are actually pretty good. But, Nussmeier is just so much better than Brock Vandegrift. and I think Sloan is going to run more play action and get this offense going. So, of course, weather could play a factor. And if that's the case, LSU's run game is going to have to be better. But, I just think offensively they're going to have a good day, even though they're on the road. And I think it's going to be hostile. I think it's going to be loud. But LSU, even though it was 50-50 in the crowd, I mean, they've already played a road game up to this point, or it was a neutral site game, whatever you want to call it. So I don't think that that's going to be too big of a concern for me. I'm not saying South Carolina fans aren't great. They're going to be unbelievably hostile, but I think LSU will be fine offensively.
What's your concerns about Rocket Sanders and his ability to make people miss? I think he kind of leads the SEC in broken tackles forced or caused. And the LSU's ability to make tackles that we've seen, sometimes that could be an issue for LSU.
Yeah, Rocket's good, right? The issue for him has been health, and he's healthy. And that's obviously a concern if you're an LSU fan. So, yeah, I mean, he's just a really solid back. He hits the hole hard. He's a thick running back. You guys know I like my running backs how I like my peanut butter, man. I like them thick. That's what I want, man. And Rocket, man, he'll thunder through some arm tackles. So,
yeah.
One guy that's grown on me a little bit for LSU is Sean Washington. He really put it on towards the end of fall camp. I see Blake's in here, AYS. Pierce, what's up, guys? Good to see you. Miss Carla, good to see Andrew in here. Thanks for all your support. But yeah, Rocket can run through arm tackles, and got to make sure your chin strap's buckled. And it's not just him. Robbie Ashford runs hard. Their backup quarterback, Lenore Sellers, is a freaking tank as a runner. But I think LSU defensively, they're going to feel motivated. They've heard me consistently say I'm very skeptical of their personnel. So let's hope the LSU defense uses me as motivation and they put out one of their best games of the season.
Can't lose to a quarterback that wears goggles, man. We just can't.
Yeah, you can't with the Horace Grants. You can't do that.
Yeah. Donald Walker chimes in and said, can this be a Harold Perkins game? We do know he shows up at 11 o'clock. He was at the Arkansas game, saved the Arkansas game for LSU 2 years ago. So can this be a game for Harold Perkins?
Yeah, so the real benefit of having a guy like Harold Perkins is there's not really a quarterback that can outrun him, right? And when you're going up against a dual threat quarterback, Harold Perkins becomes a more valuable player because dual threat QBs that are like Lenore Sellers and Robbie Ashford, they're faster than every linebacker that they go up against, except Harold Perkins, right? Who can run you down and obviously take really good angles. So you've seen him do that versus dual threat quarterbacks with a lot of guile and misdirection, right? So I think he gives you a little extra oomph in that category. We saw it more so his freshman year when he did it versus Anthony Richardson to close out the game, did it versus Bryce Young, and then, of course, did it versus Hornsby of Arkansas. So hopefully we could see him do it again. And this will be a better run and chase kind of game when in the first two games it was versus very patient pocket passers.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how they utilize him this week. If we see him kind of in more of a spy package and you know, allowing him to kind of just sit there and mirror whatever Lenore Sellers does in the pocket.
Yeah. And look, there are reports that Wood Weeks will start and Harold Perkins will move to the star. We'll see what actually happens. Blake Baker's played a lot of different players. He's been very rotational. And on top of that, Brian Kelly has said he is going to be very rotational in the secondary. So you're going to see a lot of different players play for LSU. And there's some benefits to that. And there is obviously some downsides to that because it's kind of hard to have chemistry. And then if you're not playing the same players all the time, sometimes that's a message to where we don't have any truly elite guys. So let's just rotate guys in and keep them fresh. So you look, a lot of great LSU defenses weren't really heavy rotational defenses outside of the fronts where everyone rotates pretty heavily. So we'll see how that plays out this weekend as well.
Yeah, it could also be hard to get in the rhythm. You know what I mean? If you're constantly rotating guys in and out.
Right. Yeah.
Carter, I don't have any more South Carolina questions for you, but I am about to trash talk a couple other teams. I don't know if you want to stick around for that.
I got 5 more for you. Let's go.
All right.
If we got people standing in 100-mile-per-hour winds, I can. Well, you know what's funny? I actually did Blake's show one time, or yeah, it was Blake's show, but I did another appearance while there was a tornado happening where I am. So I ain't scared. If they can go through the elements, I'm going to go through the elements. Not elements for them. Let's do it.
Yeah. But with that said, hey, thoughts, prayers with everybody that's out there in Gulf Shores area, Gulf Coast area. I say Gulf Shores, Gulf Coast area that's affected by Francine. Praying y'all stay safe. But man, I gotta ask this question. Or bring this up. Billy Napier is expected to go to a 2-quarterback system with well, I'm not gonna say 2 quarterbacks. He said he's going to play both Lagway and Mertz. Famous saying, if you got 2 quarterbacks, you got none.
All right. I guess I'll go first. I think it's a little bit better for them because you have the one pocket guy and you have the one guy you can run. So you can kind of, I mean, those two kind of complement each other in that way. But yeah, I don't know what I would do in that situation. I really don't. I've not really watched Florida all that much. So and what do you think they should do?
I feel like this is a play for him to kind of try to keep his job a little bit. I feel like Mertz is probably the guy who gives them the best chance to win now, but he still plays Lagway to show the fan base and to show the administration like we got our guy of the future. You know what I mean? Like you've seen glimpses of him. Just give me another year with him and we'll be fine.
Yeah, I keep looking at this from an LSU perspective. Is who would we rather face? And I would much rather face Graham Mertz. Not only because you don't have to worry about the dual threat ability, it's also because you've already beaten him once. Now you had a good day, but at least you've had eyes on this guy, right? Which is very different than someone you've not played yet.
Yeah, I agree. That it's the dual threat factor for me. If you give me the option of playing a pocket passer or a dual threat guy, I'll take the pocket passer.
Unless his name is Drew Brees or Tom Brady.
I mean, yeah, there's a handful of pocket passers who who you'd rather take your chances with. But for the most part, give me the guy who I can try to get pressure on, get him off the spot, and he ain't as effective. Versus the guy who, if I get pressure, he's just gonna flush out the pocket and be just as dangerous as he is inside the pocket.
Yeah. Don't want to rush through this, but Sherrone Moore finally has a contract. He's been coaching without a contract this entire time, and they finally finalized a contract for him. I think today. And I know you remember this, and
That's his dumb ass. Ain't no way I would have did anything without a contract.
And I know you remember this. Weren't there a lot of chatter about Ed Reed doing a lot of stuff at Bethune-Cookman without a contract?
Hey, you heard what I said. I wouldn't have did a damn thing.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I probably would have got a contract before I got my ass whooped by Texas, though. But that's just me.
Yeah. I don't know how much of this is waiting to see how much trouble they're actually going to be in.
That's a good point. I don't know. I mean, it don't make sense why he just not getting a contract signed. There's no reason for that. That makes no sense to me. I don't understand why he would proceed without a contract signed. Like both sides, this is crazy to me.
Yeah. Carter, you got anything on that before I ask this last question? This last one's it's one of your thought-provoking questions, Carter.
No, okay. I'm glad he got the contract after what happened this past week. There's nothing worse than getting a big contract and starting off with a massive, massive, massive L. And I keep going back to Mark Stoops. The day after he signed a $9 million a year deal, he gifted Kentucky with a home loss to Vanderbilt. So it's better.
Is that as bad as becoming one of the highest paid coaches in college football and then getting whooped by Mississippi State in your home opener?
Oh, who is that?
It was Ron in 2020.
Oh yeah, that is true. 2020. The case.
Yeah, Vanderbilt worse though, bro.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, definitely. Because at least Ed got you a natty before all that happened. Yeah. But yeah, man. But let's get to this last one, and then me as a fat guy got to go eat some ice cream.
All right, so we've talked a lot about the different teams, how they've looked in the week. Week 2, it's early, but I think it's fair to say we can kind of tell a lot about some of these teams. Which teams are in trouble?
Well, Florida State.
Yeah, that's the obvious.
That's obvious.
Dylan, you got one?
Yeah.
Who you got?
Tulane.
Tulane. Not Tulane.
I got one. I say Michigan.
Actually, no, I take that back.
Just because their offense doesn't look like it has a pulse. The quarterback position looks like a non-factor, and the other option is a running quarterback. So I don't know how much that opens up the offense. And you look at next week, they got USC. They still got Ohio State. You know what I mean? They still got a lot of games on their schedule that they could lose. So you could be looking at an 8-4, 9-3 Michigan team.
Yeah, I obviously we go back to Florida, right? Like they had this weird game versus Texas A&M. A&M versus Florida was a weird ass game last year. So two teams that have had ugly week 1 losses that now have these huge week 3 games versus each other. Let's see what happens. If I'm A&M, I'm a big Connor Weidron fan. Going back to the not fan but believer, and I look like an idiot now. But I keep going back to that play action stat. Texas A&M has one of the lowest play action rates in all college football, and its overall productivity goes up with play action rate. And almost every SEC's quarterback's play action productivity goes up with play action. So I think Texas A&M Florida is going to be outside of LSU South Carolina the most interesting game of the weekend.
I think my team that I think is in trouble, ironically, they're undefeated right now. Oklahoma.
I was going to say that.
I can see it. But at the same time, though, you're still 2-0. So there's got to be some kind of grace and leeway given for starting slow but still finding ways to win. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, even though it's ugly, even though you didn't look how you wanted to, you still found a way to win. So I get you. I get where you're going with that. I just feel like his teams are more trouble than them.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, I'm looking. I'm trying to think of, like, I was looking like who else is.
Well, I mean, the honest to God answer is Purdue. I mean, not Purdue, Notre Dame. So they lose this game. All right, comes out that their coach giving Marcus Freeman some tips. I love that. Ugly ass loss. Ugly ass. Now you're getting Purdue off a bye.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Purdue gonna run the football.
Yes, and look, Purdue young coach, early bye, 2 weeks to prepare. This is probably the biggest game on their schedule, right? They're probably not that good of a football team, only in year 2 of Ryan Walters' tenure. They're probably looking towards year 3. They're going to throw everything to get this W, right? Because they know that they can win this game, right? If you live in Northern Illinois, you would like to think that at home, coming off a bye, you're going to be in a good spot. And guess what? You could play the card that nobody believes in you because Notre Dame is a 10-point favorite. Hell, I didn't know Notre Dame's going to score 10 points. I didn't even know they were going to score 10 points. And they're telling, no, the fighting Riley Leonard from Fairhope, Alabama. Did you know that Riley Leonard was from?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Okay. Riley Croaky Leonard. Riley Hey Dude Leonard.
Yeah.
Riley Chubby's Leonard. Riley's Oakley's Leonard. The frattiest frat name, Riley Leonard, is getting 10 points and can't even stay healthy. 10 points. Well, I don't even know if Notre Dame's going to score 10.
Yeah,
So
that's a good.
Purdue is probably feeling blood in the water. They're probably feeling like a shark that they can go off and win this game.
I think they can. Ryan Waters gonna have a defense ready to play,
Yes.
and they're gonna run the football. Before you go, I got one question for you.
Let's go.
We had this debate on the show, and we had this debate in Twitter Spaces.
Okay.
All right, so a lot of people feel like, Brian Kelly has to win a championship for his tenure at LSU to be a success. Let's say he coaches his entire 10-year contract, but never wins a national championship. But he wins at least 10 games every year of his 10-year contract.
Okay.
Where would you rank him among LSU coaches all time?
Yeah, so it's the Mike Martin at Florida State question, where he had 17 College World Series and no titles, which is still my favorite stat of all time in college sports. RIP his soul. But yeah, so you're saying he wins 10 games every season.
Every single season.
Yeah, then he's the best. He's the best coach. Especially if it's like 10-2 and you finish 10-3 with a lot of opt-out kind of bowl games or whatever. But 10-2 is getting you into a lot of playoffs, right? If you go 10-2 every single year, you're probably getting to the playoff every single one of those seasons. So you're more than likely going on multiple playoff runs those years. Now, if it's a 9-3 and then bowl win 10-3, then that's not acceptable. So it depends on how that 10-2 actually is. But I've told myself this a long time ago. I'm an end results, or I'm a process over results kind of coach, right? Or kind of guy. I understand that there's extra nuance to your career, right? There's plenty of coaches who have gotten to the brink of winning a national title that are better than coaches who do win a national title. And outside of Kirby, Urban, and Saban, there have been more coaches we would consider to be not so great than coaches who are great that have won national titles, right? You got Gene Chizik, you got Ed Orgeron, you got Les Miles. A lot of us have our different opinions of Jimbo Fisher, but at his last stop, he was bad. So I think we are, as a society, a little too championship focused, a little too natty focused. So yeah, that would be a tough pill for me to swallow, knowing that the last 3 coaches at LSU have all won national titles, 2 of which weren't so great. So if you look through the lens of end results, yeah, it's a failure if he doesn't win a national title. But I tend to not look through the lens of end results. So a lot of context matters in that. So yeah, I would take, let's say, obviously he's 2 years in. All right. And he's already had 10 win seasons in both of those seasons. Okay. He also had a Heisman Trophy winner. No matter what happens, last year will be the biggest disaster of his career because he fielded the best offense we've seen. Maybe, I mean, they're even with 2019 LSU in terms of yard per play per game, right? They're not as good because they won it all and they had more games, obviously. But that will always be his biggest failure. But at some point, I think he will win an Natty, but it's not necessary for me. And I would definitely take 10 wins every single season if it means, or I would prefer a Natty over just 10 wins every season, but I would take it if it also meant some bad luck and not winning one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I got you.
All right. Well, Carter, thank you again for coming through. I did think of 2 more teams.
Fire them away. Let's go quickly. Let's go.
Group of 5 UAB.
Ooh.
Power
4.
Yeah, Power 4, Kentucky.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm the biggest Mark Stoops hater. And I don't hate him personally. I hate his legacy that everyone thinks he's great. But UAB, okay, they've got to go to Arkansas this weekend after getting their asses kicked by their former coach. I love that.
Yeah, baby.
Don got his ass
lit
up.
But you know what's crazy though? For all the crap we give Dion, you know what I mean, about him not being qualified for being a college coach and all this kind of stuff, and what's he really in it for and all that kind of stuff. Trent Dilfer flies under the radar.
Oh yeah,
because he's not coaching his son. That's the only
man. Yep. Yeah. But that man right there needs to be talked about a little bit more, or a lot more, because I don't know why he got that job.
No, it didn't make any sense.
By the way, funny stat: he has never won a road game.
Yep.
What do you mean?
As a head coach at UAB, they haven't won a road game.
Damn, really? Come on, Trent. You know what? I now that I think about it, I kind of think what the Doug Gottlieb experience is going to be like at Green Bay.
Man. He got a show to do before practice. He's got to go in and film his radio show.
That's so weird to me. I was like, well, for sure they're gonna make him quit their radio show. No, instead of recruiting, imagine him setting up to do a show. He's recruiting some transfer portal guy in Anchorage, Alaska, and he's like, "Do y'all got a signal? Can I sit up here?" It doesn't make any sense.
Man, can you imagine him like after a tough loss on a backdoor screen at the buzzer? You know what I mean? Like then he comes on the show the next day and just starts breaking down why they lost and I told him in the timeout what was coming, and you know.
Yeah. I don't get, like, that's just, I am okay. My dream is to host a national sports radio show or do something nationally. But I do think being the head coach of something as big as that, it's so hard to focus on national sports.
Yeah.
Because like my buddies who coach like local sports, it's hard for them to keep up with national sports. Mm-hmm. Right? Like it's really, really, really hard. So I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't.
The only thing better than the Gottlieb show while coaching would be if LeBron and JJ Redick would have kept their podcast together.
Yes, they should have kept it going. I could see them swirling wine on the back end of a back-to-back.
Yeah.
We're gonna low manage it tonight after we got beat 75-30 by the Kings the day before.
Yeah, and then they're on there talking about whose fault it was that they lost, and You should have drove up this play on the inbounds play, but you drew up that play.
Man, what a life. Well, guys, thank you so much. You guys have one of the best shows. I love what you guys are doing for HBCU athletics, and we'll talk soon, man. Anytime, Pooh Bear. And I'm kind of shocked you still have the graphic. I like the graphic. Let me ask you. I do have a question now that the graphic's up. Okay. So I don't know. I've gone back and forth on this, the Kendrick halftime show thing. I mean, have y'all discussed that yet?
We have not.
Okay, all right. So there you go. Your audience of millions of people are wanting to know if you agree with not letting Wheezy. I thought for sure they're going to go Lil Wayne, but K-Dot.
Well, all right. So I got mixed feelings on this because part of me feels like it should have been some kind of collaboration of Lil Wayne, the Hot Boys, Master P. You know what I mean? The same thing they did for LA a few years ago at the Super Bowl should have kind of been done for New Orleans. But at the same time, I feel like Kendrick is kind of reaching a point to where he's becoming mainstream and not just hip hop. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of breaking through that ceiling and becoming pop culture type. You know what I mean? So I'm fine with him being able to get more exposure and being able to kind of make his name household name type.
Yeah, I go on, Pooh Bear, go on.
So I when I first heard it, I was like you ain't. Well, I wasn't so much why not Wayne. I was like, man, you gotta get Juvie, to do the halftime show. Yeah, gotta get Juvie. But then I thought about it. How many times has the Super Bowl been in New Orleans?
A lot.
Nobody ever had a gripe about.
But that's the thing, though. So for a lot of the times it was held in New Orleans, the Super Bowl halftime show was themed. You know what I mean? And a lot of the themes had to do with Mardi Gras. And so a lot of the time it was Southern's band or, something like that performing in halftime.
Wasn't the last one in New Orleans Beyonce?
The last one was Beyonce and Destiny's Child. And then another thing is Jay-Z and them just became, affiliated with the halftime show and all that kind of stuff.
From my understanding, he didn't make the pick though.
No, he does, but he doesn't make the pick, but he makes suggestions of who he thinks.
Yeah. I mean, he's got some say in it.
Yeah, he's got some say in it. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why people are in the last few years have been expecting for it to be, specific artists because they know Jay-Z's got his hand in it. But like 11 years ago, whenever 2013 or whatever it was, whenever Beyonce did it, like there was no chance that it was gonna be Lil Wayne. You know what I mean? But since we've seen some of these other halftime shows and we've seen Lil Wayne express his desire to want to do the halftime show, that's why people are so upset about it.
Yeah, I'm pretty pissed off about it, if I'm being honest. Like I think it's got to be Wayne, and I understand Kendrick was part of the biggest halftime or the most hyped halftime show ever. He was already part of one.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't absolve you from being another, right? Bruno's been in multiple. Beyonce was in the Coldplay one as well. But yeah, I just think that would have made too much sense to make Lil Wayne the halftime show, and I just would have gone that route. Now I understand he's not the same guy, right? So, and Kendrick is, reaching another level, but I also think Wayne's just a bigger name. I could just be totally wrong, but I think Wayne is a little bit more mainstream.
I say bigger legacy. I don't know if he's a bigger name right now.
I think he's a bigger name. I think if you go ask like 1,000 people who is Lil Wayne and who is Kendrick Lamar, more people know Lil Wayne.
After the summer, this past summer, that's the only.
I think so.
I don't think that matters, bro.
I think
Okay.
so. I honestly do, because I will tell you this, and once again, this is just, anecdotal stuff, but I I've been involved in a lot of musical events, white, black. I've DJ'd a lot of weddings as well. All right. I have always gotten requests to play Wayne. I've gotten Wayne requests on country shows that I've done. There's never been an instance where someone has said, "Hey, can you play Kendrick?" Like before, Not Like Us came out. Now
Yeah.
that's not me saying Kendrick is not a better lyricist or a better rapper. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. Syrup sandwiches, all that. I mean, that's iconic stuff. But Lil Wayne is also an elite all-time lyricist. He also is regional. I know, like, people have made the point that everything's not regional with the halftime shows or whatever, because Ludacris would have been in Atlanta or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think it should have been Wayne. And I understand, like, there have been instances where he's not shown up to perform or he's gone off stage or all that. If it's a Super Bowl halftime show in New Orleans, he's going to be there. And I think it would have also been easier to loop in other New Orleans iconic artists, because like Juvie, right? If you put Juvie in with Kendrick, I don't know if that's going to fit as well. And if you weren't going to, like, obviously, when you think of Super Bowl halftime shows, you think of like A-listers, right? And the biggest A-lister who's not done the Super Bowl halftime show is Taylor Swift. Well, she didn't want to do it.
She ain't never doing it.
Yeah, I don't know if she's ever going to do it.
I mean, she
But-
can't watch and perform, but
But yeah, and look, there's plenty of other artists that are out there that have not done Super Bowl halftime shows, that are huge, iconic A-lister artists that aren't hip hop, right? Like, for instance, to me, one guy who I think needs to do a Super Bowl halftime show before he dies is Garth Brooks, right? Garth is the biggest country music entertainer of all time that has ever walked the face of the earth, and there will never be a bigger. Morgan Wallen will not come close to Garth Brooks. I'm sorry. I think Garth at some point deserves a halftime show, and I don't know if it should be in New Orleans, but I would like to see him do one. I'm not even that big of a Garth or even country fan, or whatsoever. So I think there could have been better choices. I know I'm not the biggest Kendrick fan, but it is what it is at this point. I would have loved, like Pierce says, you put Lil Wayne up there, then you could put Master P, Trombone Shorty could be in there. John Baptiste could have been a part of it. I mean, you could have done a whole
Manny Fresh. You mean,
Yes.
like,
It doesn't even need to be. You could just be New Orleans halftime show with that, and you're putting all this stuff mixed in there. I just don't think I would have gone that route. I just don't think I would have.
yeah, which
I personally think they should bring back Janet, complete the arc, and 56. I don't know how old she is, but I know those things still sit right. Bring it back.
Has 50 Cent ever done the Super Bowl halftime?
no.
Yes, yeah. He was at the LA. He came out with the LA because he did on the treadmill.
Oh yeah, he did the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So I don't know. I don't know. I know I'm gonna get hate for that because Kendrick fans are like.
I mean, I still feel like Kendrick's gonna bring Wayne out. I feel like because they do have a song together, you know what I mean. So I feel like he gonna bring
50,
Wayne.
there you go.
out.
There you go, Chuck. She 58. I know them things still.
Banging.
Bro, yeah, they thanging. Bring
I
back
yeah.
Janet.
Bring Janet back. You can also the cool thing, what would be cool if Janet, if she came back and did the choreography that Michael did at halftime or his halftime show. That would be pretty cool. That'd be iconic.
What
But
about I saw this name today that said that this person should do a halftime show. Chris Brown.
Yeah, that would be epic. Now I know NFL doesn't want to get involved in all that, and they just had Rihanna, so I don't know, because it took Rihanna, because I'm a big Rihanna fan. I would say her next to Bruno are my favorite artists, but like, it took Rihanna years because she was deep in the Kaepernick stuff, and she didn't want anything to do with it. It took a lot of talking. And hot take, that's my favorite halftime show ever. I'm super biased. That's dude. I love the pregnant arc. I love
Oh, yeah.
misdirection. I love something like that because the one thing I really liked about that halftime show is, if let's just take you're a woman watching that show, that is, and you're watching a sport where you mostly consider it a man's sport. Like there's a lot of women watching in that halftime show, being like, looking at their husbands or their boyfriends, are like, you don't understand that fight. You don't know. You don't understand how hard that was that she was able to pull that off. That will always be my favorite halftime show. Always.
Yeah.
Riri, my queen. Fendi, baby. If Fendi came out with menswear,
They got it. They got Fenty
oh, they
boxers
do?
and stuff.
Okay, well
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
it's probably expensive. So I can't.
I don't know. I don't know what they. I'm not wearing it.
If I see it at Target, I'll get it.
All right. But Carter, man, as always, truly.
Well, no, you
truly
never told me who
appreciate
you never told me who you would have picked, Pooh Bear.
Oh,
Who's who's your dream halftime?
Janet. Bring
Janet,
back Janet.
okay, well, no, I meant
Bring
Ann.
back
Okay,
My
Ann.
dream halftime. Ooh, that's tough. My dream halftime.
Chris Brown wouldn't be bad though.
Chris Brown wouldn't be bad, but I wouldn't mind having like, for old school sake, an Outkast
Oh my goodness,
halftime show.
man.
But didn't Big Boy just do it though?
He was part of one, but
Okay,
I mean, like them together. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but
Have you ever listened to like recently Bombs Over Baghdad? That is single-handedly the best rap song. Just
man, I
like
listened to
the
that.
beat and stuff.
I listened to that Aqua Mini. Have you said Aqua Mini?
Oh,
yeah,
Criminal.
I've always
Yeah, the Criminal. Yeah, I listened to that album the other day. Man, that is some great work, bro. Classic.
yeah. I remember I was interviewing Cole Kubelik of the ESPN network, and he's like a super hard Outcast.
Really, would have never expected.
Yeah,
that.
like I asked him at SEC. So this is how I got in trouble at SEC Media Days. I would make for 1 year I would make every guest freestyle. So I had like a little beat or whatever, and like for one, Greg Sankey did not like it. He did not like it. I was like, Greg, it's your turn to freestyle. Everyone else does it. He's like, well, I'm the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, so I will not be doing that. I was like, and he was the only one to not do it. And like, so I asked Cole, like, are you a hip hop fan? And he started breaking down like every single Outkast album. And I accidentally mispronounced that exact one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, don't ever do that again. Like Outkast fans are serious, man. So that would be epic. I would be certainly down for
Somebody said have Andre play the flute for 30 minutes.
Let's go. Yes. Let's go.
Hey, Andre's not freestyle. Andre's last part on Elevators is just iconic. It's just, remember me from school? Nah, not really, but he kept smiling like a clown face. Yeah, okay.
But I'm just thinking like all the like Taylor's not done it. That's always going to be the biggest name out there. Another one that was kind of rumored that I heard on like, because I saw people in the music industry when I did radio for the longest was like Harry Styles, and I'm like, no, I don't, not Harry Styles. Please don't. And I'm a Harry fan because my wife's a Harry fan, and I was a fan of One Direction, but no Harry Styles. But I just think it should have been Weezy. I'll go to the grave.
If you wanted to keep it Louisiana, you could always let Britney Spears do it.
I think current state Britney Spears would be a better show. I think so.
Yeah. Current state Britney Spears that would be very entertaining halftime show.
Britney, bring Elton John out. They got a song together. That'd be epic.
Yeah.
They have her dancing around in her little bikini or whatever, doing that little crazy dance she does on Instagram.
Give me 08, 09 Kanye.
Or who's going to be begging to do it pretty soon is Foo Fighters, because Dave Grohl needs child support now.
I saw that.
Man, he won't be pulling out of that show.
Hootie and the Blowfish.
Okay.
I only want to be with you.
Yes, let's go. I'm a Darius guy, but Foo Fighters would be pretty nice for some of the rock fan. I hate Pearl Jam though, so let's not ever let there be a Pearl Jam halftime show. Do not let Wheezy. I mean, no, don't let Kanye ever do a halftime show. Kanye on the mic.
Unless it's one of his Sunday gospels.
Oh, no, that would be epic. But Kanye on the mic with a captive audience of 50 million people would be Kanye and Britney. Andrew says current Kanye and current Britney.
Hey, that'd be one crazy show, literally.
All right, y'all. Well, we'll see. I enjoyed this was my favorite part of the convo, as always. It's great, guys.
All right, appreciate it, Carter.
See you.
All right, man. Oh, that was a good one, man. I wasn't expecting that. You ready for these week 3 predictions? Talk about them. Hold on, I gotta get Dylan in here because when y'all see some of Dylan picks, hold on. Well, I don't know where he at. So, all right, here we go, man. Let's go ahead and get some of these picks in. So, hey, we're about to do the picks. So our picks. And people need to some explanation of some of your picks. But first, me and Ant, let's go. Week 3 picks. You can find these in our explanations up on the website goldenboot.com. That is goldenboot.com. Put it in the chat too. So Ant,
Yep.
you are 8-2 on the season so far. You went 5-0 last week. Ironically, I went 3-2, and I don't know what you are. The crazy. That's what you are. For a minute, I was this close to start talking trash. I was this close, Ant. This close, because Arkansas was up and Tulane was up. And I was like, I feel pretty smart. And just like that, snatched. But here are the games of this week. First up, UNLV versus Kansas. You got Kansas.
Yep.
I got UNLV. I got UNLV rolling hot.
I think it's gonna be a close one, but I think Kansas coming off a loss, they're gonna try to kind of bounce back, return back to their ways on offense, and I think it's gonna be kind of a shootout back and forth type game. But I got Kansas in a close one.
Yeah, I got UNLV. Very like I said, I saw them play, week 1 against Houston. Then what they did against, albeit I understand it's Utah Tech or Utah University Tech or whatever it is, whatever the name of school, they were very impressive. They and I think this is the game where Kansas is like -6 or something like that in the turnover margin. So yeah, that's why I was looking at that. So I got UNLV in that one. That's a Friday night game. The other Friday night game, Arizona, number 20 Arizona versus number 14 Kansas State. This is a Big 12 matchup. You got Kansas State. I'm taking Arizona.
It's a non-conference game though.
Oh, it is. I didn't realize it was a non-conference.
Yeah, they had the game scheduled before Arizona joined. Yeah, before Arizona joined the conference, so they kept it on the schedule, but it's non-conference. But Kansas State, I think they got a little wake-up call last week versus Tulane. I think Arizona offense is pretty powerful and pretty potent, but they didn't look the best last week.
Mm.
So I think Kansas State gonna try to run the ball, keep it out of Fafita's hands, and I think they're gonna be successful in doing that.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that. Tulane had a lot of success throwing that thing on Kansas State last week. What does Fafita do? He throw that thing. So that's why I'm going with Arizona. They also got a pretty decent run game. I think that Arizona is going to be slinging it. That's why that's why I got Arizona in this one. Next up, we both got the next three. So number 4, Alabama versus Wisconsin. We both taking Alabama. TVD, former Miami quarterback, transferred to Wisconsin. I'm taking Bama. Bama's gonna run it down their throat.
Yeah, Bama.
Yeah.
I don't see much of a fight.
Interesting stat. Bama has 300, I think it's like 360 passing yards on the season. Milroe does. Ryan Williams has 207 of those passing yards.
Yeah, this freshman wide receiver class has been ridiculous, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, he has 6 catches, 3 of them for touchdowns and for 207 yards. 6 catches, 207 yards. And he's 17, bro.
Yeah.
Or 18. Yeah, he's supposed to be a senior in high school.
Crazy.
Yeah. Number 16, LSU versus South Carolina. We both took LSU in this one. I think we've covered this game enough. We don't necessarily have to talk about that one anymore. 24, Boston College versus number 6, Missouri. We both took Missouri. I
wanted to pull the trigger on that upset.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I was this close to taking Boston College. This close. And I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled it off. Missouri has not been scored on yet.
But they ain't played nobody really though.
That's true, but it's still hard to.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah, so Tulane versus number 15, Oklahoma. You got Oklahoma. I'm still rolling with the Green Wave.
I don't know how. I think it's gonna be hard for Tulane to get back up again this week. You know what I'm saying? After that tough loss last week where they kind of felt like they got robbed. But then you got to go on the road and play an Oklahoma team that's not really happy with the way they've played. So I think Tulane got a good chance to win. Mm-hmm. I just feel like it's gonna be a mistake here or a big play there for Oklahoma that's gonna be the difference maker. And I think being at home is gonna be the difference.
That's what happened last week. I will say this: Willie Fritz's new team should have beat Oklahoma last week. Willie Fritz's old team gonna beat Oklahoma this week. I'm riding with that. That's our picks. Now, this is Dylan picks. I'm gonna let him come in and explain some of these. So, Dylan,
yeah.
You want to talk with your chest? You want to speak with your chest? You pick Kansas in a UNLV versus Kansas.
I like their mascot. Look funny. Oh. Their mascot looks funny.
Blake, I don't know if you're still watching, but I told you that Joe DeLeon picks games like Dylan, and this is what I mean. So you like Kansas mascot, so that's why you pick Kansas.
Yeah.
All right. You pick Arizona to beat Kansas State. In particular reason? No? Okay. All right. You got Alabama beating Wisconsin.
Alabama's pretty good. And after seeing what they did week 1, I'm pretty sure they're going to win.
Okay. Now, this is the one I'm trying to figure out. You got South Carolina beating LSU. Tell me why you got South Carolina beating LSU.
Because I forgot one of the reasons, and also they're very good in the game.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was. They're good in college in the college football game. South Carolina is, so that's why you picked them. Okay, and then you got Oklahoma beating Tulane.
Yeah.
In particular reason?
You forgot the Boston College.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did skip that one. Boston College in Missouri. You got Boston College winning.
Yeah. I like their mask. I like their logo.
You like their logo? Oh yeah, because you would run around here talking about fly, birdie, fly. So you like the mascot. As a matter of fact, now that I'm looking at it, I think you picked anybody who had a bird. You picked them.
That remind me of Athens.
Okay, all right. Now you got Tulane and Oklahoma. Why'd you pick Tulane? I'm sorry. Why'd you pick Oklahoma?
They did good. They did good against Houston, and also they undefeated.
Okay. All right. All right. That's it. You got anything else you want to tell the people? No? Okay. All right. Tell everybody.
I have pretty reasonable reasons. They're so reasonable.
Yeah, because you like the mascots.
Yeah.
And you like birds.
Yeah.
Okay.
It reminds me of Athens.
It reminds you of Athens. Okay. All right, Bird Brain. Appreciate it. Good job.
I stay on.
No, you're not.
Yes.
Yeah, go take it back. You gotta get ready for bed because we got a long trip tomorrow. Yeah. So, all right. So that was his picks. I don't know what to say. If you're right, how would I feel? I don't know, but I'm looking at some of your picks and I think I'm raising you wrong.
I think I have pretty reasonable picks. I think I go
some of them are. We'll see.
I think I go 6-0.
All right, we'll see. All right.
6-1. 5-1.
You going 5-1? All right.
As long as his loss is that LSU loss, we good.
Yeah, I know. So that's that. And any other notable games that you got?
I ain't really none this week.
You know, a game. It's funny. It was a game last week. I'm not last week. Last year. This year, I could care less about. It's funny. Colorado versus Colorado State.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah. I'm trying to see what else other games that are actually.
I mean, Oregon. You got Oregon State, but
yeah, I don't.
Washington State, but
Texas A&M Florida will be pretty.
Nah.
You also got the Apple Cup too, because you got Washington State, Washington.
Yeah. But, they don't really do it for me.
Yeah. I think that is it. Ole Miss, Wake Forest, Vanderbilt, Georgia State. Just because I want to see Vanderbilt 3-0 going into the Mizzou game. That'll be just give them enough hope.
Don't do nothing for me neither.
Just give them the hope. New Mexico versus Auburn. Does Auburn get their get back? I know you don't care, but I'm just saying. That's it. I mean, it's a pretty light slate of games as far as anything worth watching. But that's it. Everything else we got here, man, for the rest of the show is kind of quick hitters. Jordan Love out Do you know how long they say how long he's out for?
No, they say he might play Sunday. He ain't been cleared, but the coach still making it seem like it's a possibility he'll play. But I think he's gonna be out for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Christian McCaffrey out with the calf strain / I guess you say the Achilles. I got a question for you. Is Christian McCaffrey the NFL's Anthony Davis?
Nah. It's people who deserve that title more than Christian McCaffrey.
Mike Thomas.
I mean, he ain't even on the team right now, so
yeah. Let me ask you this, because we hadn't. I know you talked about it on Carter's show. We hadn't really talked about it. Well, we hadn't talked about it on air. Saints got a win Sunday, albeit it was against the Carolina Panthers. What do you need to see from the Saints to believe?
Them do it versus a team with a pulse. Carolina sucks. I can't take nothing away from that game, really, man. The offense looked good, but it was against Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah, they got Dallas this week. In Dallas. Oof. Yeah. Little WNBA talk. Your Aces took on Caitlin Clark and her circus. They got the win tonight. But any thoughts on the WNBA? Because we haven't really talked about it since the return from the All-Star break.
The All-Star break.
I mean, Olympic break.
Oh man. And it's football season now, dog.
All right, and last man, Al Horford retiring after 17 seasons.
Yes, I mean he had a good career. I think he's a Hall of Famer, but it's gonna be interesting to see how Boston replace him.
Yeah. Danny asked, sports pop culture, is the Shannon Sharp stuff real? Real loud. I think it was. I mean, I think I you know what? It's funny because part of me was like, I wonder if this is a publicity stunt. But I mean, plenty of people watch the show anyway. So for the nightcap. So I don't. It was. I don't know. Pegasus asks, is Asia Wilson reaching GOAT status?
She got a little ways to go, but she getting up there.
Yeah. Carla says she thinks so because she's dominated. She's got WNBA championship, Olympic golds, and dominated college too.
Yeah, she gotta do it for a little bit longer though. She got 2 titles. I mean, you got Cynthia with 3 or 4. You got Simone Augustus with 4. You know what I mean? Like she gonna have to win another one up there.
All right. So you know what? I ain't gonna start no argument, but I'm gonna take this back because the conversation we had about Patrick Mahomes versus Warren Moon, you were saying he's gonna get there. And now you're saying that we gotta wait.
How many championships do Warren Moon got?
He don't have the championships, but
it
was different though.
No, it ain't no difference.
It's different.
Mahomes already got chips.
Okay.
What I'm saying is Warren Moon You can now, if I would have said Mahomes versus Brady, Mahomes is gonna get there. That would be the same thing. Because Mahomes already got more chips than Warren Moon ever had. He just don't
But
have the yardage. He just
it's
don't have the
context
pass
to it.
stats. He don't have the passing stats.
But it's
he's gonna
context
get
to
there.
it. It's context to it too, because we're talking about, you know what I'm saying, the greatest black quarterback of all time. And one, you know what I'm saying, I can argue, you know what I'm saying, why, yeah, Mahomes is getting championships. I can argue that Warren Moon didn't get opportunities, you know, as far as, or black quarterbacks didn't get opportunities back then. So, but I get it. I'm just saying.
That's totally different argument than what I'm saying now, though.
Okay.
What I'm saying now, though, is because you could say the same. That would be saying, oh, Cynthia Cooper didn't have a league to come in until she was in her 30s. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, and that's a good argument. I can understand that, because when she got here, look what she did.
But I'm not saying that.
I can say same thing about Sherrone Miller.
I'm not saying she's the GOAT though.
Okay.
I'm saying she got to do a lot to pass them. But what I'm saying is, in the Patrick Mahomes Warren Moon situation, Warren Moon didn't have no champion.
Oh, you muted yourself.
If he would have came in the league and won 2 championships before he retired, and Mahomes would have had 2 championships, but Warren Moon only would have been able to play for a few years, that would be different. When he got his chance to play, he didn't win championships. Mahomes did.
Okay. You know, I'm bringing this argument up every chance we get. But
that's fine. I'm still gonna feel like Patrick Mahomes is the best black quarterback. The man got 3 Super Bowls.
We also can go to the fact that, well, never mind. Because I was going to say, because you know how I feel about trying to say Super Bowls define your greatness, especially as a quarterback. I mean, you getting there, it adds to it, but that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. Danny says, so there is a GOAT in WNBA, one singular person?
It's debatable.
Yeah.
It's debatable.
Yeah, Pierce said it's the argument over talent or the career. I can't say talent, because I mean Patrick Mahomes is uber talented, way more talented. I think I was more saying career. And Pierce, my only argument, I think Brady is the one of I think he's the greatest quarterback as of now, but that's not because of necessarily the championships. The championships add to it, but I don't look at in football. I don't look at championships as a determining factor for greatness. You know what I'm saying, for players. I think that's the coaches.
So what did Warren Moon do better than Patrick Mahomes?
It's the yardage that he put up, because he literally, in the era that he played in, the yardage, his record stood for years, despite him playing in a different league that those stats don't even count, for I think 4 or 5, 6 years or something like that. That's what I look at, the stats. The only black quarterback in the Hall of Fame right now. So it's stuff like that I look at.
Because he threw for a lot of yards, that makes him the best black quarterback.
It's not just that, man. It's not just he threw for a lot. I mean, it's more nuanced than that. It's like I said, he is the only black quarterback in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, but that's gonna change the day Patrick Mahomes retires.
That will. And I can look at it at that point. I can look at.
So he has to retire for him to become the best?
Probably so. For me.
Yeah, no, that's a biased ass shit right there, dog. So he got to retire and make it to the Hall of Fame to be better than Warren Moon. Just because Warren Moon is the only black Hall of Fame quarterback in the Hall of Fame.
It's not just that. It's what Warren Moon did, his legacy, you know what I'm saying, going through his NFL career. It's what he represents to me. In all honesty, it's what he represents and stuff like that. I think Patrick Mahomes will be the greatest black quarterback.
So you making
that.
it like a Jackie Robinson thing. You know what I'm saying? Like he had to go through all this and all that. Like that don't make him better as a player. Like if that's the case, Bill Russell is the greatest basketball player to ever live.
I can't. Well, I wouldn't argue that he's not.
So Bill Russell to go.
I mean, if Bill Russell, Kareem, both of those gentlemen are up there.
But are they go?
Are they up? In all honesty, probably I could probably say I could have a leg to stand on for that. I'm not gonna say they're the GOAT. They're not my GOATs, but I think they are.
Like Jim Brown is the GOAT. You know what I mean? Like because of he had 10,000 yards. He had 10,000 yards in 9 seasons. You know what I mean? And he did.
I always argue Barry Sanders, but I get what you're saying.
So if we're gonna make that argument, then you got to change like who the GOAT is in these other categories too. Then, if that's the argument that you're gonna stand on, because if you saying it's because of what he went through, and it ain't because of his what he did on the field, then
what he did on the field
for the other people too.
But what I'm saying,
because he's done nothing on the field that Patrick Mahomes hasn't done.
Okay. Okay, you say so.
Well, I mean, what has he done that Patrick Mahomes hasn't done?
What yardage is Patrick Mahomes have right now?
Let me look it up.
Because we got more. If Patrick Mahomes has more yardage than him, the argument is done.
He got 28,000 yards for his career.
Okay.
Let's see. Warren Moon got 33. So in 2 seasons, he'll pass him.
Okay. Well, there we go. There we go.
He already got more passing yards in the season than him. He already got more touchdowns in the season than him.
He also played. He also played in a longer game. But okay. But I got you. Longer season.
Is that his fault?
It's not. I'm not holding that again. I'm just saying. I'm simply saying for the era he played in, and I'm not even talking about, with racial injustice and stuff. For the era that Warren Moon played in, it was not a pass-heavy league back then.
So Dan Marino the GOAT.
Dan Marino's not the GOAT. He's one of the greats, but he's not the GOAT. But Warren Moon is not the GOAT. He's the greatest black quarterback.
How is he better than Patrick Mahomes? If Dan Marino ain't better than Tom Brady and some of these people, because they won, then how is Warren Moon better than Mahomes, who's won?
All right.
Putting up individual stats is cool. Mahomes got individual stats, and he got championships, and he got MVPs. Warren Moon ain't got that.
Okay. All right.
I don't see how we could say it's anybody but Patrick Mahomes, dog. I just don't see how.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be back on Sunday. Let me get the theme music going. We'll be back on Sunday. Y'all get a chance, go check out goldenboots.com. We got stats. We got some blogs. We got a couple things. We have a couple more articles and stuff going up there. But we're working on it. We getting the site together. Like that, we at.
This show was presented by betonline.ag. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on Twitter at Golden Boot. On Instagram at Golden Boot. On YouTube at The Golden Boot Pod. On Facebook at The Golden Boot Pod.
Golden Boot.